The $32,000 recession hit. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Still working through my faithful stein of coffee, when I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au, one prepared by James Hall, and discussing, well, the cost of the recession on young Australians, and it's claimed to be $32,000. Now, for those of you that haven't been following the news, unemployment has shot up. 7.1% according to the ABS. You look at the Roy Morgan figures, and I think what's most important is the combined unemployment and underemployment. It's at 25%, roughly. Gets worse for younger people, much worse. Job ads, well, they have plunged. They have plunged. I was talking to a young university student, 7-Eleven, working his casual job. He was studying law and hoping it would all get better next year. And that, to me, said, well, we have a generation that have no living memory. They probably weren't even born, some of them, during the last recession. I have I wouldn't say fond memories, but I have memories of it. It's part of the reason why my family moved from Victoria up to Queensland. Construction just crashed. It crashed. And so my father had a building company. We packed up, we moved up here. So a lot of people are going to be affected by this recession. A lot of people will not be prepared. Not at all. We saw the huge queues in front of Centrelink. The number of people living week to week, hand to mouth. No even concept of having a emergency fund. It's not even discussed in any of the articles that we read. It's not even mentioned. If you just consume mainstream media, ABC media, everything, you'd think, oh, it's the government's job. There's probably people there who think it's the government's job to take care of you, and they don't even they're not even preparing to take care of themselves. What do you think about that idea, everyone? I think a lot of it comes back to our education system. So, many hopeful Australians believe the nation's first recession in nearly 30 years will be harsh but short, due to it being caused by a relatively temporary health crisis. Wow. What do you think? Do you think it'll be a harsh but short recession? I don't think so. I think this health crisis and the government response has been the pin that has popped a lot of the bubbles. We'll have to start seeing. I just remember looking at another article. Professionals, project managers, they're beyond six figures, depending on the bank's holiday from their mortgage to keep going. Even if people like that don't even have something stashed aside for, the winter, what's happening? See, Australia's had it too good. We've had it too good. We're a warm climate civilization now. We're not adept to preparing for the winter. We're not putting stuff aside for the months of no productivity, not being able to hunt. There you go, guys. Evolution's in play. New research suggests the younger generation of workers will be carrying the burden of the pandemic crisis for many years to come, costing this demographic more than $7 billion in wage lost over the next decade. And, wages haven't been growing anyway. GDP on a per capita basis has been below trend since the GFC. It means we've been growing, but we've been growing below the trend. In some ways, the economy's been depressed since the GFC. You could call it a depression. Depression isn't technically, it's not just a worst recession. It's one definition of it. There isn't an official definition, but one definition is prolonged period of below trend growth. So they're propping us all up just with housing demand. Those aged 21 entering the workforce now will miss out on an average of $32,000 of income growth, which will result in $22,000 less to spend on a house and a $30,000 dent in their retirement funds, according to Ernst & Young's analysis. But those figures swell for higher paying positions, for those with a university degree in law or engineering whose income will be $46,000 to $44,000 worse off, respectively, by 2030. Well, there you go. Australia's first recession in close to 30 years will be felt by all age groups, with most of the country's workforce having never worked during a recession. most of the country's workforce haven't worked during a session, EY chief economist Joe Masters said. And I know some industries will have been in recession, will have already had tough times. But there's going to be a lot that don't know anything but the good. Someone shared on Facebook to me an advertisement from a real estate, Facebook spruiker going, the way to make money is to borrow money and then rent out a house. If everyone buys houses and rents them out, you make 5%. That's a 1.5% spread. And this, there's a reason why they spruik this stuff on YouTube. She called on the youngest professional generation to be proactive in their career progression, as well as improving their financial literacy to maximize their savings with whatever income they earned. I mean, here's the thing. How many people have no financial literacy? We saw Afterpay going up. If you look at in the US, they're getting their welfare, their stimulus checks. It's all going into Robinhood, and they're all buying bankrupt companies. You can see it. You can see it. Virgin got bought up. The shares that people have there are worthless. So this is particularly vital during the upcoming period because up to 90% of income growth occurs during the first 10 years of employment, according to data from the ABS and the information from the US National Bureau of Economic Research. For young Australians who are facing lower job opportunities in subdued economic conditions, upskilling via short courses, improving financial literacy, and exploring jobs that present the opportunity to improve job skills, match, or boost income, and ensuring a proactive saving plans are steps that will help them overcome the economic challenges, she said. What do you think, everyone? What do you think? I think financial literacy, I think avoiding debt at all costs, particularly if you don't have a stable job, building up a reserve, finding ways to earn money, getting a variety of income streams, but it's going to be challenging. There's going to be firms in Australia that won't hire people. There's going to be firms that have work but will offshore it to avoid the costs and burdens of hiring people locally. The leading financial firm's chief economist also said business and government policy will play a significant role to ensure this group is afforded the same economic growth of generations before them. I don't think there's any way they're going to get the same economic growth of generations before them. No, there's going to be a decline in living standards in Australia that we're going to see. This generation isn't going to be able to live with the same quality of life as their parents have. It's just the sad way of civilization sometimes. Workforce behaviors and expectations will change. Employers will need to be more flexible on expectations about years worked in a job, and there should be greater value placed on other sector experience, she said. Strategies around talent retention will be crucial, along with workforce planning and mapping skills to future roles. The government is already pivoting from immediate support during the lockdown phase towards policies to underpin sustainable economic growth and job opportunities. While there is a role to support those facing into an economic transition, proactive policy will also need to encourage job creation, assist with skills matching, and support proactively throughout financial literacy. I think the problem is I think financial literacy is one of the biggest issues we have. So how does your income growth trajectory compare? So a 19-year-old tradesman in construction in Sydney, they're going to lose 27 grand over 10 years. Retirement will be 28 down, 19,000 less to spend on a home. Liam, 18-year-old hospitality worker, 16 grand lost, 18 grand retirement shortfall and 14 lost on a home. Penny from Perth, 26 grand, a personal assistant, lost income. 29 retirement shortfall and 18 grand less on a home. Jacob, the engineer from Melbourne, 44 grand lost over a 10-year period. 39 worse off by retirement, 30 grand or 29 less to spend on a home. Hannah, marketing executive, 33 lost. 31 shortfall and 22 less on a home. And Chloe, the law graduate, 46 lost income in a 10-year period, 38 retirement shortfall and 31 less on a home. So this generation coming up is going to have a tough time, everyone. It's going to have a tough time. And the question of even affording their first home, there's so many people right now that can't even afford a home. We have a look at, property price growth. There are people who are desperately hoping for a property correction just so they can get into the market. But I suspect that they're going to throw everything they can, including the kitchen sink, at property. As always, please Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you think this will force this generation to make some changes, or are we at risk of pivoting hard left? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support us a little bit extra, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.